Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show, guys. This is some breaking news. This is huge. It just happened today. This is going to change the 2024 election. The Trump campaign has filed a huge lawsuit that affects the 2024 election in every way. This is by far the worst thing that has happened thus far in this election. It's not fair. It's not fair towards Trump, but they're filing this lawsuit. Hopefully we will win out of this, but I'm going to show you the details in just a moment. We have RFK, who's given us an insight into what would be his new cabinet position with Trump and why, because that's a huge... Guys, this stuff, the average person doesn't even know, but when you hear it, it's a bombshell. You're not going to believe it, but you need to know. We also have where Trump is going to give some insight into what Elon Musk's cabinet position is going to be. You know, you got the richest guy in the world, but what I love is that he's not coming in to spend money. He's coming in to cut it. Cut the fat, the government spending, put more money back into taxpayers' pockets with reduced government spending and more tax cuts for all Americans. This is huge, guys. So this breaking news just happened today. I got you taken care of, guys. Just want to say, don't forget to tell me where you're from. Want to thank all the members of the channel like Carl Meeks and all these guys. Y'all are amazing. Thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Y'all are such a blessing to my family, to myself, and what we're trying to do for you. And also, too, thank you to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And please hit the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel a lot, guys. But here's the lawsuit. This is huge. This is so unfair. It's not right. Let me know your thoughts right now.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, guys. I don't know why this does this sometimes. 1 second. Let me fix this for you. I got you. 1 second. All right.
Thank you.
Election integrity, one of the most important issues for Republican voters today. Last week, the Supreme Court allowed Arizona to enforce its law requiring proof of citizenship to vote, as Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton launched an investigation into potential criminality of illegals registered to vote in U.S. elections. Republicans are filing lawsuits in several states to clean up voter rolls right now. Joining us right now, the force behind many of them. Joining me with more on what Republicans are doing to ensure a fair election is Republican National Committee co-chair Lara Trump. Lara, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And we saw what happened in Arizona as a result of one of your lawsuits. Give us your sense of what's going on today. Ken Paxton launching this investigation saying that there are already illegals registered to vote. We just heard the same from Utah Senator Mike Lee.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the good news, Maria, is 2020 certainly taught us a lesson, and that is that we have to pay attention. I mean, it is integral to who we are as a country to have faith in our electoral process. And so we have gone above and beyond anything that you've ever seen from the RNC. This election cycle, obviously, we have our election integrity operation underway. We've already recruited 100.
Hey, and thank you so much, Woodbury Hill Studio, with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for your blessing. Everybody show some love to Woodbury Hill Studio. Guys, I don't know if you knew that, but that Arizona law that just got passed where they can require proof of citizenship at the time of registering for voting came from the RNC, from Trump's campaign. That's why they're behind it, but there's something even worse you're about to hear her tell you. Check this out.
65,000 volunteers to be poll watchers, poll workers, work in the tabulation centers. We have pledged 500 lawyers on the ground in every battleground state. And in addition to that, we have had to go, unfortunately, but we have had to go state by state and make sure they're doing things like cleaning up their voter rolls, making sure that there are no illegals on their voter rolls. We had to file a lawsuit last week in the state of North Carolina to do that. You just referenced the Supreme Court decision in the state of Arizona. This is a huge win. Look, we know that there is when a federal election is underway, you can only have American citizens voting in that election.
Yep.
Should go without saying, but there are some states that try to push back on that. We took it to the Supreme Court because Democrats in the state of Arizona were attempting to let people register to vote without ID. We said, you need to be able to determine whether or not these are U.S. citizens before they register to vote. The Supreme Court agreed with that, and the great news is that it sets precedent across the country so other states can take this and utilize it as well. You look at a state like Michigan, a very important state,
Right
a state
here,
Donald
guys.
Trump, of course, won in 2016. We are fighting tooth and nail to make sure Donald Trump wins in Michigan, and we believe if it's a free, fair, and transparent election, he will. I'll give you an example of the way the Democrats like to operate to try and sway an election. We had 700...
Right here, guys. This is so messed up. What you're about to hear. This is so wrong. It's not fair. And this is why they're filing more and more lawsuits. Check this out.
Trained poll workers from the Republican side apply in Wayne County to be poll workers. Do you know how many of those they actually took? 50. Guess how many Democrat poll workers they took? 2,300. So now we are filing a lawsuit in Detroit to make sure that we have parity.
Did you hear that, guys? The Republican side for Wayne County, they sent in over 700 people to try to be poll watchers. They only approved 50 of the 700 that were going to be for the Republican side. She just said on the Democrat side, they approved 2,300. I'm going to say that again, 2,300. There's no way in God's green earth, in this United States, that is fair, that is free election. You cannot have 50 Republican poll watchers and over 2,300 Democrat when over 700 poll watchers applied. It is 100% moved to one side. It is not fair, but that's why they're filing the lawsuit, guys. Please share this video with whoever you can, because this is important that people see and know that there is 100% something going on that we don't even normally hear about until now that they're filing these lawsuits.
Between Republicans and Democrats. So whether you're talking about ensuring that illegals are clean off the voter rolls, they can't register to vote in certain states, or generally sending out the message, Maria, that if you're a person who is attempting to cheat in our elections or an illegal citizen attempting to illegally vote in our elections, we will find you, we'll track you down, and we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law. We're watching everything. We're filing lawsuits when necessary, and we're making sure we have people everywhere votes are being cast and counted to have eyes on everything.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you, it's hard to keep up with all of these political dirty tricks.
Yeah.
I want to get your assessment of
Guys, how bad is that? That the Trump campaign has to go and literally sue these states to make them clean up their voter polls. They have to sue them to make sure that they get fair poll watcher representation across the voter right, the voting. Hey, Dr. Hill, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, choo choo, let's keep this dono train going. For Joel, thanks for sharing. Guys, y'all are such a blessing. I'm here to take care of y'all with the top news. Thank you so much for your blessing. But guys, this is un-American to me. How in the world does it take a campaign to sue these states to make sure that they're doing it fair? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, please.
DNC. Obviously, Kamala Harris has not done a sit-down interview, has not communicated what she'd like to do should she get elected after this election. And yet there's been a huge halo around her. The media is portraying her as if they have all this information. How would you assess the DNC last week?
Yeah, well, listen, we were very proud of the Republican National Convention. I think what people saw with our convention is that you actually saw a path forward for this country. You saw Donald Trump and people every single night of our election, or of our convention, excuse me, lay out how we are going to make life better for you. I didn't hear a single night of anybody talk at the DNC about that. You saw unity with our party from the RNC. You had a very positive feeling coming out of that. The DNC
100%.
was a lot of Trump hating. It seems like they're attempting to run on hating Donald Trump, on platitudes, on vibes, and on emotion. That is not going to put food on the table for the people of this country. That is not going to bring down your gas prices. That is not going to get us out of wars around the world. Donald Trump had a plan. He put it in place in 2016 when he won that election, how he would do it again. You haven't heard a single thing from the Democrats on the other side, Maria. And so I think the American people are probably left feeling pretty hollow and empty after watching that DNC. Because again, you know, you're not going to get your grocery prices lower, and you're not going to stop the fentanyl pouring over our southern border by electing people based on emotion and vibes.
Guys, and I've got a video for y'all in just a moment. It's going to blow your mind how the Democrats, they're not focused on the Americans. They're not focused on cleaning up their mess. They're literally acting as if Trump is the incumbent, like Trump's in office and everything is his fault, and now they're coming in to clean it up, and how much they spoke about him during the DNC. You're not going to believe it.
How important was the RFK Jr. support?
Oh, I think it's huge. And I think the Democrats are very upset about that. And that's great. And I actually think he did a great thing when he came out and not just said, I'm endorsing Donald Trump, but here's why. Because the Democrats are a threat to our country. I could not associate with a party that has been in my family and is you know, integral to my family and who we are for my entire life. And I thought it was amazing to see him come out. I think you're going to see within the swing states where he has taken himself off the ballot, the percentage bump that I believe it will give Donald Trump, I think is going to be huge.
Yes.
And I think you'll see that in the next round of polling.
Wow. All right.
Guys, it's beautiful that we got people that are living out the patriotic dream of standing up for what is right in America, but it's also mind-blowing that we've gotten to a point of corruption within America where we literally have to sue states in order to get people off the ballots that aren't supposed to be on there, illegals. We have to sue people just to make sure that there's a fair balance between Democrats and Republican poll watchers, because again, like she just said, in Wayne County, there was over 700 poll watchers that applied to be poll watchers in Wayne County. Only 50 of them got approved. There is literally over 2,300 poll watchers that have been approved on the Democratic side in Wayne County. There's no way that's fair, guys. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section. We have to stand up for what is right, but there's a big looming problem called the national debt. We're $35 trillion in debt as a nation. This is horrible. This puts us at the whims of those that we owe debt to, and we got to take care of this. But listen to Donald Trump talk about Elon Musk, what his plan is, and what he's going to do in his new cabinet position if Donald Trump wins.
What he really would like to do is get involved in cutting some of the fat, and he does know how to do it. And he loves the country. You know, it's just an amazing thing. We had a conversation the other day. You would know better than me, but I hear it had hundreds of millions of people. I heard it had the biggest audience that there's ever been. I mean, would you say that's a correct statement?
I would absolutely say
There's
that's
never been
correct.
anything even close. I heard 750 million people. I mean, numbers that are crazy. And yeah, he wants to be involved. Now, look, he's running big businesses and all that, so he can't really, I don't think he'd be cabinet. I'd put him in the cabinet, absolutely, but I don't know how he could do that with all the things he's got going.
I think he'd find a way.
But he can sort of, as the expression goes, consult with the country and give you some very good ideas. Like on AI, there's nobody knows more about it than Elon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing. And he said it's very important. I mean, it's very important for the country. If we don't do it, China's going to do it, or somebody else, but most likely China. And China is working right now to develop massive electricity, a flood of electricity, a massive flood of electricity. And we don't, because we have people that they're not even thinking about that.
Yeah.
And we have to win this election. This election is November 5th will be the most important day, in my opinion, in the history of our country. Because if our country goes the wrong way with this election, I think this country is doomed.
Guys, and that's the truth. We're living at this point now where we got to cut back the federal spending. That's what Elon wants to work on. Cut the fat out of the government, give back more to taxpayers, make sure that we're not being controlled by these big organizations that are working behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Because what I'm about to show you guys, I promise you, I would bet you each $100 Nobody knows what I'm about to show you that is actually happening behind the scenes when it comes to the FDA, guys. This is mind-blowing, but this is why RFK joined Trump. This is why he's going to be over the health sector, the health federal agencies for Trump, because of what you're about to hear.
Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus, and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies. That is a perverse incentive.
So I don't know if you caught that, guys. He said 75%. Now, Fox did come out later, and they said it's actually 47%, which is still really bad. 47% of the FDA's funding is coming from big pharma. So if all your money is coming from these big corporations, do you not think that they're going to be pulling the strings to have it their way in some form or fashion? And that's what he's talking about, the corruption.
NIH, if you, scientists and officials in NIH, who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from those products. These are regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. Everybody, the most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody's making money. The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA,
that is so
out of NIH,
heartbreaking.
out of CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
He said the most profitable thing right now is a sick child because everybody makes money, and we need to get away from that. We need to change the focus from these agencies because they've become to the point where they're being controlled by the very companies that they were put in place to monitor and to regulate. Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. But this is where, guys, I'm telling you, I bring the news from all different shows. I want you to see all different aspects. Well, I don't care if it's CNN, ABC, all these. Listen to what you're about to hear from this person who literally destroys the Kamala Harris campaign with the facts on ABC. You're going to love this, guys, because they cannot deny the facts.
President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job, 170 million Americans.
Watch this.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that.
Right.
But the last thing that she said on
this was not a radical convention. I mean,
You see that? Where he's like, look, out of her mouth, out of Kamala Harris's mouth, she has not said that she wanted to not do the Medicare for all, get rid of private insurance. And he's like, no, she didn't say. And she said, and he said, no, she hasn't. And then he said that maybe one of the aides, but not out of her mouth. And then he's like, oh, but what about this? What about this? And not this. He tries to change the subject. Guys, these pieces I love where they can't even fight the own facts that are on their own show.
She as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John. The American people are totally justified to conclude that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal based on what she campaigned on the last time she ran for president and what this administration has done for the last 4 years. Again, you would have thought watching the Democratic convention last week that the Democrats are not in office, that they're not in power, that they're campaigning against an incumbent Republican.
Exactly.
When in reality, she's been part of the failures of the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years. And when she campaigned for president, in her own right, she did in fact promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and
No,
she
she
has said
hasn't.
she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that.
Let's go, guys. I love it. Everybody's trying to change the narrative. Everybody's trying to change history. I love it whenever these people are like, no, she hasn't. Show me where she has changed her position, because she hasn't. And this is something that I love too, guys. When we see the more and more of these facts come out, they're undeniable. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, because with the lawsuits that are coming forward, with where the Trump team is hammering in every single state, they're removing tens of thousands of illegals off the ballots. They're fighting for fairness with poll watchers and observers. This is what's going to get a free and fair election. Now, it's sad that we literally have to sue states to get that, but this is what's going to get us to a better spot, guys. I love it. I've got something else for you guys. Check this out, because again, too, it's across all the stations that we're starting to see. That was just from ABC. Check this out from CNN.
Election, and Vice President Harris is the incumbent.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And that's the one thing about the convention that I think they couldn't wash off. And they're trying. And with this new TV ad from Kamala Harris, there's just a complete ignoring of the fact that she's the sitting vice president, that she's been at the center of American public affairs for a number of years, that she has a voting record, that she has public statements, and that she has a record for the last 3.5 years. I don't know how they plan to cure that. I suspect at some point she's going to have to look into a television camera and answer this question. Can you name one or two things that you think Joe Biden has done wrong? And she's going to have to decide whether to answer that question or not. It's hard because the most consequential decisions he made, she was either the last person in the room on Afghanistan, her words, or she went up to the Senate and cast a tie-breaking vote. So I don't know how she's going to break with him, but if she wears him for the rest of the election, it will be very difficult to win.
Do you agree with 100%, guys? Because again, too, I don't understand, like, the Democrats are acting like Trump is in office right now. They're acting like Kamala and Biden haven't done anything, that they haven't been a part of everything that has happened in the past 3.5 years. They're acting like it's Trump's fault for everything that's wrong with America, even though Trump, out of the past 16 years, Trump was only president for 4. This is what's mind-blowing, and what's crazy is that people are believing it. When you see the crowds at these Democratic conventions, at these campaign rallies for the Democrats, and you hear them speak, and everybody's like, yeah, it's like, what are you thinking? Listen to this, because it's all a hoax. But I love is that more and more people are bringing it out across all the stations and holding them accountable. Check it out.
She's the Commerce Secretary, right. So here they manipulated employment numbers, which affects markets, by the way, their manipulation of them favored their position in the eyes of, how they're handling the economy. So what a big surprise there. And they're manipulating numbers, just like they tell us that the crime numbers are down. Everybody knows the crime numbers aren't down, okay? The local police, the Philadelphia police, the New York police send out numbers, yet they tell us that that crime numbers are. So this administration cannot be trusted. Kamala Harris covered up for Joe Biden. Then she forced him out along with the help of Nancy Pelosi and Obama. She was selected, not elected. They're not to be trusted. But worse yet, what their plans are moving forward. Waltz, I hate to call anybody a liar. The guy's a liar on many fronts. The guy sat back while Minneapolis was being destroyed, and Vice President Harris bailed out the few violent criminals that they arrested. So everything about them is extreme, radical, dangerous liberalism.
Well, I mean, when you consider the fact that obviously the jobs market is not as strong as anybody expected, now that we know that 818,000 jobs were non-existent, and I understand that July and August of this year and June of this year are going to even be more significant, whereas there are going to be a lot fewer jobs in those months. So when we do this again next year, we'll see even more revisions. And yet Kamala Harris is backing what Joe Biden wants to do, and that is put a 44.6% capital gains tax in place and a 25% tax on unrealized gains. You're on House Financial Services. I mean, what does that do to an economy that's already slowing? We'll probably see a recession in 25.
Yeah, it's unbelievably devastating, right? And add price controls to that, 25% tax on unrealized gains. So for houses and everything else, people will have to pay along with their portfolios. Their plan will make everything that's been accentuated in a negative way worse during the Biden administration. Inflation will go up. Wages will decline. America will lose jobs through various of their plans.
Wow.
And our energy industry will collapse. You know, I can't even kid by saying outside of that, they're wonderful. I mean,
well, I want to ask you about the energy because you're in Pennsylvania. You just said a minute ago you think that the GOP will win Pennsylvania. So former President Trump's going to be in Arizona at the Arizona border later today. He's holding a rally in Glendale on Friday, part of this DNC counter-programming for Swing State Tour. He was in North Carolina yesterday and kicked it off in York, Pennsylvania, focused on energy. Watch this.
Yeah.
When I return to the White House, I will end the anti-American energy crusade and terminate Kamala's so-called power plant rule. Instead of shutting down power plants, we will open dozens and dozens more, and they'll happen fast. Kamala stands for energy disappearance and factory obliteration. I stand for American energy independence and manufacturing dominance.
A recent Quinnipiac University poll has Harris leading Trump by 3 points in Pennsylvania. There's an Emerson College poll, however, has Trump leading by 2 points in the Keystone State. An Insider Advantage survey has Trump leading Harris by 10 points among Pennsylvania independents. But, Congressman, I don't have to tell you how important Pennsylvania is. Why do you have such confidence that, that Trump wins Pennsylvania?
Well, there's a big reason that Vice President Harris won't do interviews because her policies are unbelievably bad, and she doesn't have the strength of concentration to carry on an interview, a conversation. She hasn't done her homework. She never has. We saw that as Vice President. Why the American people can't just say that's her record? What makes us think that this makeover they're doing for her is actually real? But just go back to the effects of their economic plan. You know, first of all, they don't have one single, including the Secretary of Commerce, private sector individual within their entire administration. The head of the SBA, the administrator, no small business experience whatsoever.
Wow.
They have disdain for...
Guys, did y'all hear that? Like, the SBA is for the Small Business Administration. Like, it's crazy how you want people to run the largest economy in the entire world, which is the United States of America, that employs 70,000 or no, hold up. Let me check this out because this is are employed by the United States. It's an astronomical figure, guys. Okay, so think about it like this. There is 161 million people that are employed in the United States. Whenever you're dealing with the entire economy, whenever you're dealing with money, business, economics, accounting, and then you want to hire people that have no experience in that whatsoever, have never run a business, have never looked at a P&L, have never looked at expenses, credits, debits, accounting, have never had to hire people, have never had to create, innovate, or anything, and put them over these administrations, that's why they don't work. You got to have people that actually have the experience. You can't hire somebody to be a plumber that has never been a plumber. They've got to go to school. They've got to actually get the experience on the job to be able to do the job well. And what he just said is that in all these agencies, they don't have anybody that has actually ever done things in the private sector. Because we all know with the government sucks at all their government jobs. Have you ever been to the DMV? Have you ever been to deal with anything related to the government in terms of anything, even with Social Security, all that? They suck. Why? Because their customer, they don't have to make happy their customer because there's nobody else for their customer to go to. But how many times have you gone to Chick-fil-A? How many times have you gone to Walmart or Target or something like that where if they don't take care of their customers go somewhere else? And that's what we need in the government is we need accountability where if they don't take care of us, we the people as the customers, they need to be fired and we need to get somebody else. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Hey, Jackie Carrison, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, love watching the real news with you guys. Hey, thank you so much for your blessing. Everybody show some love to Jackie in the chat, guys. Let me know your thoughts on what I just said because I feel like that is where we're at as a country.
The private sector. So everything they're going to do, a continuous assault on energy. Her spending plan is more $1 trillion more than the extra trillion Biden was going to.
Yeah, 1.7 trillion, right. She wants to spend money on, giving $25,000 down payment
the
help.
worst thing that you could do, right? I mean, that's going to drive prices up, and
More
it's going to put people in
inflation.
positions to own homes that they can't afford. So all of that stuff always works backwards. So all the worst of the economy, grocery prices are going to go up because farmers, the supply side will increase. Gasoline prices will go up. All the negative effects, crime, they're not going to be leaders on fighting crime. The border, does anybody really think the border is going to improve on day one?
Yeah.
She's vice president. She's in the administration.
Yeah.
You want people to feel better. You want people to be happier. Take care of their wallets because that's what every American actually feels in their daily lives every single day, and it has to do with the economy. It has to do with gas prices, grocery prices. It has to do with wages, things like that. It has to do with the taxes that the federal government takes out that they can't figure out how to freaking manage, and that's why we're $35 trillion in debt. Guys, listen to this because I'm telling you, this is why it's so important, and I appreciate it, those that share these videos, because when people see this, it opens your eyes to the facts. At the DNC, they weren't trying to win over their constituents. They weren't trying to do anything. They weren't trying to talk about policy. They were trying to talk about how bad Trump was. That's all they focused on. That's all they said. You're about to hear it, the actual facts. And you would think that Trump was the president right now with how they're speaking and how much time they mentioned him, whenever, in fact, he hasn't been president for the past 3.5 years. But Biden has, but yet it's still all Trump's fault. Check this out.
But when you look at the Democrat convention, Howie, do you know how many times they mentioned President Trump's name during that convention?
I bet you're going to tell me.
I'm going to tell you, 401 times. They mentioned inflation 9 times.
Are you kidding me? They mentioned Trump 401 times, and they mentioned inflation. The one thing that every American is upset about, 9 times. That's where they tell you their priorities are at. That's where they're trying to gaslight the American people, and that's where we got to stand up, guys.
They mentioned illegal immigration 0 times. You want to know what the other thing is they didn't mention?
Illegal immigration 0 times.
During that entire convention with all those speakers, they didn't mention the assassination attempt a single time, not once during that whole week. And in fact, only 48 or 72 hours after the assassination attempt against President Trump, they were up with brand new personal attacks. But that week of the Democrat convention, when they're trying to pretend like the last 3.5 years didn't exist and they try to work people's thinking about the radical liberal ideas she has going forward, it was just over and over attacking President Trump. And Howie, these were vicious, personal, negative attacks. There's a complete double standard for how President Trump is treated versus Kamala Harris.
Complete double standard, guys. And what's so sad is that what you're about to see, this makes me upset, guys and gals. But this is what is coming from the other side. This is what is coming from Democratic strategists and what they're trying to portray out as patriotic, as patriotism. Let me know your thoughts.
Make America a better place.
Can I ask you a question? Because there was American flag burnings outside the DNC. And I mean, there has been a lot of commentary on the left.
And people have the right to burn flags.
And they absolutely do. But it's not, let's be real, it's not patriotic.
It is absolutely patriotic to burn a flag. It is absolutely
He literally just said it is patriotic to burn the American flag. The American flag of the United States. It is patriotic. I don't think this guy understands what the definition of patriotic is and what you're supposed to do for your country. Listen to this.
I will never
love it. Part of being an American means respecting the right of people to disagree with America.
But it also means respecting the flag.
Yes. It means respecting, like, people that live here. Like, this is what blows my mind. We've got too many people that they live in America, yet they hate America. Well, if you hate America, then leave. If you want to burn, if you can't stand America and what it stands for, then leave. If you can't stand the Constitution and all this, then leave. You don't have to stay here. There's about 300-400 other countries in the world you can go live at. But this is what's upsetting. What he is saying in saying that it is patriotic to burn the American flag is like saying that you support X, or formerly known as Twitter. You support X and their fight for freedom of speech. But then you support them trying to censor X. Like, it literally makes no sense. The American flag right there stands for freedom. It stands for hope. It stands for the right to freedom of religion. Hey, Prophetic Now, thank you so much for the super chat. It says Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, I will forgive their sins and will heal their land. Amen to that, Prophetic Now. I 100% believe that, guys. We need some prayer back in schools. We need some prayer, more importantly, back in the home. We need our kids need to learn how to pray. Because I'm telling you what, guys, when you got people that think that it's patriotic to burn the American flag, to burn that flag that stands for freedom, we're in a bad place. We are not in a good place, guys and gals. I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that I always take care of everybody, guys. But I'm telling you this, thank you so much, Prophetic Now, for that super chat. It's a beautiful words from the beautiful word of God. Let me know your thoughts on what we just talked about. Also, too, show some love to Prophetic Now in the chat. But this right here is the most heartbreaking part, what you're about to see in today's video.
From House Budget Congressman Buddy Carter, it's good to see you. So when you see all this, when you put it all together, what's your reaction to it?
Well, obviously, we got a humanitarian crisis at the border. I mean, this is really, really challenging our family security. I mean, here in the state of Georgia, Lake and Raleigh. I mean, that's all you need to say. Everybody understands that. It's challenging our economic.
And if you don't know, everybody, the numbers are up. DHS has released that they have lost track of 320,000 children in the United States. They don't know where they're from. They don't know where they're at. They don't know if they're okay, if they're being fed. They don't know if they're being trafficked. They don't know what's going on with them. 320,000.
Security here in this country with costing us so much money and taking up room in our hospitals and our schools and costing American taxpayers $11,000 every year. And it's also our national security. Who knows how many terrorists are coming across that border? All of this is a disaster at the border. And yes, the borders are who's in charge. Well, we've got a fence around the United Center and the DNC, but we don't have a fence at the border.
You know, I want to just go through the numbers because this is really, as you point out, a humanitarian crisis. The border is a crime scene, and it's humanitarian explosive problems there. 2019, 2023. This is from Homeland Security Inspector General. This is this period spanning both the Trump and Biden-Harris White House. Okay, so nearly 450,000 migrant children went from ICE custody to HHS. 291,000 crossed the border illegally. They seem to be missing and unaccounted for. They lost track of at least 32,000 of them because they didn't show up for their court dates. So how are we supposed to be okay with all of this?
We're not, and we shouldn't tolerate it. That's why we need Donald Trump back in office. When Donald Trump was in office, we had the most secure border we've had in modern times. I need that again. This is a disaster that has been caused by the Biden-Harris administration. And look, Kamala Harris cannot wash her hands of this. She is responsible. She was the border czar. I mean, you know, the leading cause of death now for 18, 40 years old is fentanyl. Fentanyl that's coming across that border, infesting all of our communities and causing a drug poisoning. It's fentanyl poisoning. They're poisoning our citizens. We can't tolerate this anymore.
Congressman Carter, a pleasure to see.
And gals, I'm telling you this, like, we're living in some trying times, y'all. It is very, very difficult to see a lot of the news. But that's why we're here. This is true life news. This is the real life. We're bringing it from all aspects. We're holding the facts, keeping you updated. Again, I want to reference what the thumbnail is about on this video is that right now, Trump campaign is filing a lawsuit against the state of Michigan. Reason being is because the Trump campaign is trying to put poll watchers, poll observers at every single major swing state, major county to make sure we have free, fair elections, right? So in Wayne County, the Trump campaign sent over 700 people to get into watching polls on the Republican side. Well, out of that 700, only 50 of them got approved. They got the numbers back of how many Democrats got approved to be the poll watchers in Wayne County. This is a big, huge county with a lot of votes that swing the state. Over 2,300 Democrat observers, poll watchers are going to be there compared to the 50 for the Republican side. There's no way this is right. There's no way this is fair. This is why they're filing a new lawsuit. This is one of the biggest ones that they have to fight because it's just blatantly one-sided on what they're wanting to choose and how they're trying to control the narrative. And this is why we got to stand up. We got to fight. Please share this video, guys, because it's getting this information out so that people will get out, they go, they vote early, and they make it known of what the Democratic side is doing and what's actually going on. I want to say thank you to everybody that has given a super chat on this video. I'm telling you, it is such a blessing to our family. Woodbury Hill Studio, Dr. Hill, Jackie Carry-On, Prophetic Now. We couldn't do this without you guys. We appreciate you so much, and you mean the world to us. We just want to keep growing this community, keep bringing the true life news. We thank you for every like. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do so. It really helps to grow the channel. We just want to serve you every day with the top news. We love you. We thank you. Appreciate all of our members of the channel that join us, Josie, Carl Meeks, and the rest. Y'all are so amazing. We will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.